Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every man's life when he is confronted with fire, not the kind that burns skin, but the kind that scorches the soul, the kind that tears down what you were to make space for, who you were born to become. And I know some of you walked into this room with smoke still on your clothes. You've been through something. You're going through something. But I want to tell you today, the fire isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's process. You are being forged, molded, not because you're weak, but because you're meant to carry weight. God does not waste fire, and He never sets fire to anything that doesn't have the potential to become more. It's easy to admire a man on the other side of transformation. The man who stands tall, leads with confidence, walks in purpose. But what we rarely see is the furnace that shaped him. The nights he cried alone, the battles he fought in silence, the pressure that made him question everything, and still he stayed. He pressed, he didn't run from the heat, he let the fire do its work. That is the man we are becoming today. Let me ask you something. What if your greatest setbacks weren't setups for defeat, but setups for your destiny? What if the pain you've endured wasn't an interruption to your purpose, but the ignition of it? Pain often feels like the end. But in God's hands, pain is the beginning. It's the tool that strips away pride, laziness, self-deception, and leaves behind the raw material of greatness. If you've been knocked down, congratulations. That means you're in the game. But the next move, that's yours. Will you stay down or rise forged? There is no strength without resistance. You go to the gym and lift weight, not because the weight is easy, but because it is heavy. And it's the heaviness that grows your strength. Life works the same way. The man God is making in you will only be revealed through the heavy stuff, not in the comfort, not in the easy wins, but in the moments when quitting would feel more reasonable. The fire you're in is evidence that there is more to your story. And I'll say this clearly. If there's still fire, it means the work's not done. Some of you are praying for the fire to stop, but what you should be praying for is the strength to stand in it, to let it do what it came to do. God doesn't rush transformation. He's not interested in quick fixes. He's interested in permanence, in purpose, in character. So if you feel like it's taking longer than it should, maybe it's because you're being made into something that lasts. Temporary things can be built quickly. Eternal things take time. Every man I've ever seen who truly changed the world went through hell before he walked into his calling. That hell wasn't random. It was orchestrated. It was designed to break what didn't belong and ignite what could not be faked. Courage, integrity, humility, grit. These aren't downloaded, they're developed. You don't pray these in, you live them out. Every sleepless night, every broken relationship, every betrayal, it's either going to scar you or strengthen you. You choose. Now hear me clearly, strength does not come from pretending you're okay. The man who is forged by fire learns to feel the pain and walk through it anyway. He doesn't numb it. He doesn't run from it. He invites it in and says, what are you here to teach me? Every tear you've cried has been caught. Every wound you've carried is known. And every flame you've endured has a purpose. The question is, are you willing to believe it? I want you to think back to a moment where you felt like everything fell apart. that job you lost, that relationship that ended, that failure that wrecked you. Now ask yourself, what did that fire burn away? Did it burn away pride, self-sufficiency, ego? Did it expose the cracks in your foundation? Good. Because God cannot build on what is fake. He builds on what is exposed, what is surrendered, what is real. Stop hiding the fire. Start using it. You are not a victim of your past. You are the product of your response to it. What happened to you is real. But what happens next, that's on you. Too many men are stuck because they keep reliving the trauma, but refuse to embrace the transformation. Don't just survive the fire. Let it make you new. Let it make you unrecognizable. Let it burn off every label the world put on you. Not enough, failure, too broken, and let God write something better. Redeemed, chosen, strong. Now I know this. Fire is lonely. When you're in it, you feel like no one gets it. You look around and think everyone else has it figured out. Why am I the only one burning? But listen carefully. Fire isolates only to intensify the process. It doesn't mean you're abandoned. It means you're being focused. And the moment you stop resisting it is the moment you start receiving from it. What if you stopped asking God to rescue you and started asking Him to reveal Himself in the flames? When you come out of this, and you will not be the same. You'll walk differently. You'll speak differently. You'll treat people with more compassion. You'll lead with more clarity. You'll forgive faster. You'll pursue purpose, not applause. You'll be a man that others want to follow, not because of your gifts, but because of your grit. Because you carry something that can't be taught, authority that only fire gives. So what do you do now? You take one step. You do not wait until the fire ends. You move inside of it. You show up to your family with presence. You show up to your calling with discipline. You pray when it's hard. You serve when you're tired. You speak when your voice shakes. You apologize when you're wrong. You ask for help when you need it. That's how a forged man moves. He acts in faith, not in feelings. There are no shortcuts in this process. And if someone promised you a painless path to greatness, they lied. The men worth following are men who bled. The leaders worth trusting are leaders who limped. And the man you are becoming won't emerge by accident. He'll emerge by fire. That fire will ask you to let go of the version of yourself that kept you comfortable and step into the version of yourself that will change your legacy. And this matters not just for you, but for the people watching you. Your son is watching, your daughter is watching, your wife, your team, your community. They're watching not for perfection, but for perseverance. They want to see you endure. They want to see you stand. They want to see you rise, not because everything's easy, but because everything's hard and you refuse to quit. And let me say this, you are not alone. Thousands of other men are in this same furnace with you. They're sweating, doubting, aching, hoping, and they're choosing to believe that the fire has purpose. Join them. Link arms. Fight forward. You were not made to be a passive observer in your life. You were made to be a warrior. And warriors don't retreat. They rebuild. They refine. They rise. When this fire ends, and it will, you carry authority. Not because you read the right book or prayed the right prayer, but because you stayed in the fire. and trusted the refiner. You let him strip away what was false and rebuild what was true. You stopped pretending and started pursuing. You stopped hiding and started healing. And now you stand tall, grounded, ready. Look me in the eye and hear this. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not defeated. You are developing. You are not failing. You are being forged. Let the fire do its work. Now take a breath and speak this out loud. I am forged by fire. I will not run from pain. I will not bow to fear. I will stand in the heat until my purpose is revealed. I will become the man I was made to be. Go out there, face the heat, and let it make you new. Most people see hardship as a sign they've done something wrong, as if the pain they're going through is punishment, some kind of payback for failure, sin, or falling short. But that's not the truth. The truth is, fire doesn't come to punish you, it comes to prepare you. It comes to shape you for a future you're not strong enough to carry yet. See, God doesn't waste anything, especially not pain. If you're walking through fire right now, it's because there's something inside you that can only be revealed through heat. It's a process, a sacred one. And it's not designed to break you, it's designed to build you. Think about a sword. Before it becomes a weapon in the hands of a warrior, it's just metal, cold, raw, unformed. But when that metal is put into the fire, it begins to transform. It's softened just enough to be reshaped. It's hammered, folded, tested, and only after it endures that process does it become strong, sharp, and ready for battle. That's exactly what your life is going through. The fire is not saying you're weak, it's saying you're meant to be powerful. This process isn't about surface level change. It's about getting to the core. It burns off what doesn't belong. It challenges the lies you've believed about yourself. I'm not enough. I always mess up. I'm a failure. The fire isn't agreeing with those lies. It's exposing them so they can be destroyed. And in their place, truth can be forged. Truth about who you really are, capable, called, and chosen. But you've got to be willing to stay in the fire. Not run, not numb, not quit. Because transformation doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in the places where your faith is tested, your patience stretched, and your courage called out. If you're being tested, it means you're being trusted. That should change everything about how you see your struggle. So the next time the fire comes, and it will, don't panic. Don't assume you failed. Instead, recognize what's happening. You're being prepared, not punished. You're not going backward. You're being forged forward. And when the flames subside, you won't just survive. You'll emerge stronger, sharper, and ready for everything God has already planned for you. Pain has a way of bringing us to our knees. It interrupts our plans, shakes our confidence, and forces us to face things we might otherwise ignore. And yet, for all the ways pain hurts, it also holds power. Not because it feels good, it doesn't, but because when it's embraced rather than avoided, pain becomes the spark that ignites purpose. Some of the most impactful people you'll ever meet didn't find their calling in comfort. They found it in the ashes of disappointment, heartbreak, loss, and failure. Pain forced them to ask deeper questions. Pain made them stop pretending. Pain called them into something bigger than themselves. purpose doesn't arrive neatly packaged. It's uncovered, often in the dark. When life breaks your rhythm, when plans collapse, when you're staring at the wreckage of what used to be, that's when something holy can happen. If you let it, pain will peel back the surface and show you what matters. It'll reveal the deeper story being written underneath the one you thought you were living. And if you're paying attention, you'll see that your pain isn't random. It's been pointing you somewhere the whole time. You start to notice the things that make your heart burn, the injustices you can't ignore, the struggles you've survived that others are still stuck in. That's not just coincidence, that's calling. Because the pain you've experienced becomes the bridge to someone else's healing. Your scars become someone else's survival guide. And suddenly what you thought disqualified you becomes the very thing that equips you. This is why you can't waste your pain. Don't bury it. Don't numb it. Let it teach you. Let it open your eyes. Let it fuel your steps. When you stop seeing pain as something to escape and start seeing it as something that refines, transforms, and awakens, you'll begin to live with purpose. Not just any purpose, but one rooted in experience, forged in truth, and aligned with something far bigger than comfort or success. That kind of purpose changes lives. Most people spend their lives searching for identity, like it's a hidden treasure buried somewhere out there. They think if they travel far enough, succeed big enough, or impress the right people, they'll finally discover who they are. But identity isn't found in achievements, applause, or approval. It's not handed to you. It's forged through the fire, through pressure, through process. The truth is, you don't stumble into who you are. You become it. And becoming is hard. It takes loss. It takes self-confrontation. It takes standing in the mirror on your worst day and refusing to believe the lie that says this is all you'll ever be. Your true identity, the core of who you were created to be, isn't revealed in comfort. It's revealed in the furnace of adversity. When everything is stripped away and there's no title, no status, no image to protect, that's when you begin to see what's real. In the fire, the false identities start to burn. The one who needed validation from others, the one who wore success like armor, the one who pretended to be strong while secretly breaking. Those masks melt in the heat. And while that may feel like loss, it's actually liberation, because once the fake burns away, you're free to step into who you really are. And who you are is not weak. You are not defined by your past, not limited by your failures. You're not the brokenness you've experienced or the mistakes you've made. Deep down, under all the layers, is a man created with intention, wired for strength, for truth, for purpose. The fire is just doing its job, exposing the gold beneath the surface. You don't become that man by waiting. You become him by choosing to show up differently, choosing to believe truth over lies, choosing to act with integrity when no one's watching, choosing to fight for what matters even when it's inconvenient. Every choice in the fire forges a deeper level of identity. And so, if you feel like everything around you is being torn down, maybe that's the point. Maybe it's not about losing who you are. Maybe it's about finally becoming who you were meant to be. Let the fire forge you, not into a version of someone else, not into a brand or a performance, but into the real, raw, resilient man you already are underneath. When you're standing in the middle of the fire, everything in you wants to freeze, to shut down, to wait it out. Maybe if you stay still long enough, the pain will pass. Maybe if you ignore the heat, it'll go away. But here's the reality. The fire doesn't release you just because you stand still. The only way out is through. Movement through the fire isn't optional. It's non-negotiable. Transformation doesn't happen by accident. You don't become stronger, wiser, or more grounded by simply surviving hard seasons. You become those things by making intentional moves while you're still in the heat, while it still hurts, while the outcome is still unclear. You don't wait for clarity to take the first step. You take the first step and clarity meets you on the way. The man who's forged by fire doesn't wait for a perfect moment. He creates momentum with whatever he's got, right where he is. You pray even when you don't feel anything. You show up to work when your confidence is shot. You apologize when it would be easier to blame. You forgive when resentment feels more comfortable. You keep going even when nothing around you is changing yet. That's what movement looks like in the furnace. It's not flashy. It's not always fast, but it's forward. And forward is enough. See, fire paralyzes the man who thinks comfort is the goal. But for the man who understands what's at stake, his legacy, his integrity, his calling, comfort becomes irrelevant. Growth becomes the mission. And growth requires motion. It requires that you act before you feel ready, that you speak up before your voice stops shaking, that you trust when you're still afraid. Every time you move forward in the fire, something inside you strengthens. Every small step becomes a strike against fear, a refusal to stay stuck, a declaration that you are not giving up. Standing still is choosing stagnation. And in the heat, stagnation quickly becomes surrender. But you were not made to surrender. You were made to rise. So if the fire is hot right now, good. That means the process is active. That means there's still more for you. Don't stop moving. Don't wait for the fire to end before you start living. You're being forged now. Walk forward, even with the flames on your back. That's where transformation lives. In the heat of the furnace, it's easy to believe a dangerous lie that you're alone, that no one understands what you're going through, that your pain is unique, your struggle is isolated, and your burden is too heavy for anyone else to carry. That lie, loneliness, is one of the most powerful weapons the fire will try to use against you. Because if the fire can isolate you, it can convince you to give up. But the truth, you are not alone in the furnace. You never have been. Every man who has ever become something worth becoming has walked through his own fire. You just didn't see it. You saw his strength, but missed the struggle. You saw the results, but not the process. We live in a world that celebrates success and hides the suffering that forged it. But no man becomes who he's meant to be without first being burned, broken, and rebuilt. And while each fire is personal, the process is universal. Look around. You are surrounded right now by others who are in their own furnaces. The pain may not look like yours, but it's real. The battles may be different, but the heat is just as hot. And here's the powerful part. When men are willing to stop pretending they're fine, to be honest about the struggle, they realize they're not alone at all. They're part of a brotherhood of the broken man being refined, reshaped, and redefined. God never intended for you to walk through fire in isolation. He didn't create you to carry weight alone. That's why community exists. That's why brotherhood matters. There's strength in knowing that when you start to stumble, there's someone beside you who won't let you fall. Someone who's been through their own fire and came out the other side. Someone who sees the gold in you, even when you can't see it yourself. Sometimes the most powerful words you can hear in the middle of the fire are, "Me too." Not a sympathy, but a solidarity. As a reminder that the heat isn't a sign you're abandoned, it's a sign you're being refined. And you're not the only one. So speak up. Reach out. Don't let pride keep you silent. There are other men who are walking through their own flames right now, and some who have walked through and now carry the wisdom you need. You are not the only one in the furnace. And knowing that changes everything. Because when you realize you're not alone, you remember something essential. The fire may be strong, but together we are stronger. The fire is not just about surviving. It's about becoming. The man who walks through the flames and comes out on the other side is not the same man who went in. He carries something different, something powerful. What you become after the fire is what changes the world. When you come out of the fire, you don't just carry scars. You carry strength. You don't just carry memories of pain. You carry wisdom that only experience can teach. The fire strips away what is fake, but it also reveals what is real. The core of your character, your resilience, your faith. And that transformation has a ripple effect far beyond yourself. You become a beacon for others who are still in the dark. Your story, your testimony becomes a light that guides people through their own struggles. You become proof that pain doesn't have to defeat us. It can define us if we allow it. What you become after the fire is not just a better version yourself. It's a man equipped to lead, to inspire, to build, and to uplift. The world doesn't need more people who run from hardship or hide from pain. It needs men who have been forged by fire, men who have faced their fears, overcome their doubts, and emerged with a purpose so clear it can't be ignored. The kind of man who stands firm when others fall. The kind of man who speaks truth when lies surround him. The kind of man who leads with integrity, humility, and strength. And here's the greatest truth. Your transformation is a gift, not just to you, but to everyone around you. Your family, your community, your workplace. They all benefit when you carry the lessons of the fire with you. When you refuse to let pain harden you or bitterness claim you. When you choose to be a man who loves fiercely, serves selflessly, and lives intentionally. So when you think about the fire, don't just think about the pain. Think about the power. Think about the man you're becoming. Because that man, that forged, refined, battle-tested man is the one who changes the world. And that world is waiting for you to step into it.